Who do you think they are to each other?
I don't know.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
Past Lives is a moving tale about love, regret, and the threads of fate that bind us together, even when we're worlds apart. It's a tender and elegantly simple drama spread over 24 years of two high school sweethearts reconnecting after 20 years. Sparks fly when they meet again, but fate and timing work against them. Nora, formerly known as Na Young, immigrated with her family to Toronto and abruptly left Korea at the age of 12. Nora's classmate Hae-sun, her sweetheart, friend, and rival, was left behind. And along with him, Nora left Na-yeon behind. 12 years later, Nora immigrated for the second time to New York to establish herself as a writer. Feeling disconnected from her roots to her homeland, Nora is reminiscent about her life in Korea during her school years and tries to find traces of her past life by looking up old Korean classmates on Facebook. Turns out Hae-sun was also looking for her. They reconnect over Skype, only to lose each other again. Another 12 years pass, and Nora is a happily married and successful playwright, while Hae-sun is a single engineer. He plans his vacation in New York, where he will finally see Nora face to face after 24 years. This is where Past Lives transcends the typical love story genre and subverts many of its tropes. You might think Past Lives is going to be a love triangle drama, but there is no material for drama here. There is not even a real antagonist or a villain. In fact, all characters are delicate people who wish each other well. They are good people doing their best to be good people. Even though they all have different needs and they want something that potentially conflicts with the desires of the others, they are still able to put those feelings aside and show tenderness and compassion. This film is free of heated arguments or passionate lovemaking. The maximum level of intimacy between Nora and Hae-sun is a friendly hug, perhaps lasting for barely noticeable few moments. It's not a film about infidelity, but rather about healing. Plus, there is no question of choice between the two men in Nora's life. Her choice is definite, and there is no ambiguity about it. Past Life is a romantic movie that's less about dating and a little bit more about love and connection over time. In the words of the film director Celine, it is observations about what it is to be a human person, living this one life that we all get, and the supreme injustice in that. As an audience, we're accustomed to the idea that in Hollywood films, true love must triumph, because there is only one life and you need to take everything from it. But this story, based on Eastern philosophy, puts realism back in focus. This is the way that drama exists for most of us in our lives. Emotionally grounded and quiet. The quiet that Arthur shows in handling of this threat to his marriage, which he really cares about. Or the quiet that Hae-sun shows, not showing up and whisking Nora away to Korea, proclaiming his feelings and saying, "You're mine." He tries to understand her and help her reconcile with her choices.
What a good story this is. Childhood sweethearts who reconnect 20 years later and realize they were meant for each other. In the story, I would be the evil white American husband standing in the way of destiny.
One of the themes of this film is the determinism of life. Nora talks about Inyan, the ancient Korean concept of reincarnation, a way of explaining how people can be bonded through connections in former lives. Lovers, in particular, who have met over and over again in previous existence. This idea could be extremely comforting or extremely painful. If Inyan is an accumulation of all the experiences we had in our past lives, and we were predestined to meet our soulmates in each and every one of those lives, is it all predetermined and cannot be changed? Was Nora always a person who was meant to leave and take a leap to achieve her dreams? And Hae-sun was always the one who meant to stay? Are they repeating this cycle in all of their existence? Or what if they're happily married in their next life? Past life hinges on the idea of coming to terms with the decisions you've made. All of us face a situation in our lives when we asked ourselves, what if I chose a different path? What would have happened? Sometimes we comfort ourselves with the idea that whatever happened was meant to be, and the choices we made were correct. But sometimes you cannot keep the doubts and regret at bay, and start imagining a different life you could have led, or a different person you could have spent it with. Throughout the film, Nora chooses not to look back. A perfect example of this would be when she decided to end her Skype relationship with Hasan early, because she wanted to focus on her career. She moved countries twice to get closer to her writing ambitions, and she knew the more she relished in her past, the more it would put at risk her current plan, the current path she's carving for herself, that she decided to commit to a long time ago. The Nora that Hasan knew no longer exists, but we are tempted to fantasize. What would happen if she still existed? I have to mention certain parallels I see with the La La Land movie and the bittersweet ending of both of those films. Love is not something for which you need to sacrifice your dreams, goals, or your identity. And even if you miss your soulmate, later you will meet another soulmate, just like Nora found Arthur. Of course, this film is not only about love and memories, it is also about the difficulties of immigration, including emotional ones. Past Lives masterfully translates Nora's internal conflict on the big screen, conveying her storm of emotions encapsulated with conflicts of cultures. Is she Korean? Is she American? Hasan is a little piece of home that Nora left behind, and without it she does not feel like herself. As an immigrant, you may feel in certain ways that you are not whole, that you have these two parts you cannot reconcile. There is a person you were then, and the person you are now. When Nora reconnects with Hasan, he reminds her of the Korean girl who is no longer there, the girl who used to be a crybaby in Korea and full of emotions, and now she has to suppress them because nobody cares. Nora sees Hasan as so Korean, and being with him, she does not feel Korean at all. But at the same time, in a way, she feels more connected to her Korean heritage because of Hasan. He's like a piece of her that she did not realize she was missing. Maybe Hasan and Nora understand each other at a far deeper level because of their shared background and childhood memories. Maybe she feels a far greater sense of belonging with Hasan that her husband cannot give her. It raises interesting questions about intercultural relationships. Do we need to be loved differently in different cultures? Is it okay if our intimate partner will never understand a part of us? There is so much nuance in the way we communicate and experience things depending on where we come from. How do we adapt to the needs of our partners? Arthur is trying to bridge the cultural gap between him and Nora by learning Korean, because it is the language that she's dreaming in. He wants to understand and embrace her fully. Maybe Arthur cannot understand her dreams, but they share life goals. They have similar vision and ambitions. From the age of 12, Nora wanted different accolades. She wanted to make it. She dreamed of a Pulitzer or a Tony, and the only way she could do it was by leaving her home behind. Her mother said, when you leave, you lose something, but you can also gain something. At times, it can be difficult to see immigration as beneficial. Sometimes you're only able to focus on everything that you gave up. Nora gave up her name, her language, and her culture. In one of the last scenes of the film, Nora and Hasan are standing on the street waiting for a taxi. The small distance, barely a meter between them, seems insurmountable. In the same way, the ghosts of our past are always with us. Lovers, friends, relatives, and homeland. And lives that we might have wanted to live, but it didn't work out. Nora walks away and cries on her husband's shoulder, finally grieving that little girl that left Korea when she was 12. Nora is trying to grapple with her past and all she's lost, but reconciling it with all she has gained. Past Lives is an incredibly gentle story of self-discovery told through the prism of a love story. It is for anyone who has loved before and who knows heartache, who knows longing, for those who question their destiny. Your perception and interpretation of this film will be shaped by your life experiences, and I am sure one can find something to relate to. It's a beautiful film debut from a Korean immigrant filmmaker, Celine, who partially based it on her own life story. It will strike a chord with you and will leave you wondering, what if? Did you know that Celine staged and reenacted Chekhov's The Seagull in The Sims 4? How cool is that? Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and I cannot wait to see you in the next video.